The show starts in 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go.
Whether you're new to sales or a lifetime veteran, the Blackbelt Sales Podcast will sharpen your sword and guide you to master the art of sales. And now, here's your host, the ninja himself, Gene Slade.
Hey, thanks for staying with us. Today, we're going to talk about the objection, I want to talk to my spouse. And we're also going to do a little bit of financials training for those of you that might want to own your own business one day, or maybe are new to the business and you don't have your financials in order. First, Don, what's one thing that we can do to either prevent or handle the I need to talk to my spouse objection early on in the call?
Right. If you're getting that a lot, don't necessarily think that I've got to get a good script to handle it. Think about how I can plan in advance so it comes up less often. That's what's really fun. And there can be certain times on a service call, you just, something doesn't feel quite right. It's the neighbor who let you in or something going on. And you just need to ask a few questions that you know that person might not be able to answer. Where do you buy your filters? When's the last time you changed your filter? Who's the last service company that came out here? On a Comfort Advisor question, it can be a little more direct. You say, is there anybody else's opinion that you value that you would like to have involved in this process? And you might hear the story of my dad's paying for this and he wants me to get the quotes and I might have to give it to them. You never know the situation, but is there anyone else's opinion you value enough that you would want them involved in this process? That's nicer than asking, are you the decision maker?
Yeah.
That doesn't feel very good. It feels salesy, and that feels like you don't respect that person, especially if it's a female. So you don't want to be asking that.
Yeah, you sound like a salesperson when you're like, are you the decision maker? We're going to need to talk to your wife, right? Just ask him, like Don said, is there anybody else's whose opinion matters enough to you to involve them in this conversation or to involve them in these choices, right? And that's going to tell you right away if they've got a significant other that they're going to have to run that by. And let's say that it's just a one-legger. What's a one-legger?
Yeah, it's just old school talk for us in sales. It just says we've got one decision maker there. We don't have both spouses involved with it. Just an old phrase that's been around for years. Some of the terms of sales.
I've got a good question for you here in just a second. Guys, if you're watching this live, will you please just put live down in the comments? And if you're watching it on a replay, will you just put replay in the comments? It would mean the world to us. Help us to get this out to more people. That's the fee for us coming on and doing this for you on Tuesdays and Thursdays. So, Don, you were talking about one-legger and one person being home or not. I'm just curious, who would you rather present to alone, the man of the house or the woman of the house?
The woman of the house. She typically is a strong part of the decision-making process. So, and again, in the situation, especially if there are repairs that are going on, she will make a decision to get the system back up and running type thing. And, upgrade situations, you want to know that there's another decision maker. It doesn't necessarily stop you from going through your process, but it makes you think in terms of how do I want to tackle this later. It helps you game plan the whole thing. We get in the huddle before we go run a football play every time, but yet in sales, we just think we're supposed to wing it every time. We're supposed to play backyard football, just everybody out there just line up and run around crazy, and then eventually we'll make yards. No, we huddle up every call. We make a plan for every call, and knowing who's the decision maker or who needs to be involved will give us the ability to make a game plan. That's why it's important.
So, guys, 85% of the decisions that are made in the household are made by who? right? When you're sitting at the table, doesn't the husband usually look at her and go, what do you think? And if she says, I think we should do it, he goes, okay, let's do it. Isn't that usually how it works? If you guys have watched the movie My Big Fat Greek Wedding, you have heard the joke, the man might be the head of the house, but the woman's the neck, and she can turn the head however which way she wants, right? You guys know this to be true. So we were talking about this actually in our Lead Ninja Mastermind this morning, which is where we do coaching, live coaching in a group setting with technicians and owners every Tuesday and every Thursday. And Andrew actually brought up a quick little technique that and it's hard to even call it a technique, Don. It's just a group of words. So Andrew, when he came to the mansion event recently, the very first thing that we train people to do when they say, I need to talk to my wife or my husband is, all right, let's get him on the phone. And just shake your head like that. Not, can we call him? Can we reach her? No, let's get him on the phone. And just smile and shake your head. People are wired for what? Cooperation. Right? And it's painful to not cooperate. So people will tend to follow your lead if you're strong, right? But that's not always going to work. And you know, Don, I was thinking about something a minute ago while you were talking. If you guys didn't catch our last episode about hot button questions and how to tie those into your presentation, you're going to want to go back and watch that podcast. All right. Because we asked 6 different hot button questions. And if you are in a situation where you've got a one-legger, just one person home, try to get that other person on a FaceTime call and ask those hot button questions to both customers. All right. That way you don't have to ask them when you come back. Now, Don, in a situation where it's a one-legger, I don't know about you, but I typically like to get all of my data and set the call up for a return call after I've asked that question. Is there anyone else whose opinion matters enough to you to involve them in this conversation? They say yes. I'll go, okay, so here's what today is going to be about. We're going to go ahead and do a load calculation. We're going to measure the walls, the windows, the doors, insulation levels. All that goes back into a calculation at our office. That tells us exactly what the perfect thing is to put in for you here. I'll come back on Thursday or wherever it is that they said that their spouse would be home. Or if I already asked questions like, how many quotes have you had so far? When's your last quote scheduled? I'll come in behind those other quotes.
Sure.
Right?
So those are techniques that are really best for comfort advisors in someone who's called and said, can you come give me a quote or an estimate? Not necessarily on a tech turnover, and maybe not necessarily be on a service tech that sells. If you've got repairs and you're going to have to leave them without air for 2 days or fix it right now, once you fix it, the whole sense of urgency will drop away. So take in the understanding that every situation can be a little different. Tech selling, and I have $700 or $2,000 worth of repairs, is a little different than a comfort advisor that they're just been instructed to get a new system. So it's a great technique for new system when they're just getting estimates, as the word might say. So, but I like that. Let's get them involved. Let's say they play hard on that. Let's get your spouse involved on the FaceTime and they won't do it. Well, you could always do the comfort survey for the first person and then ask, in your opinion, what do you think your spouse would answer that question? Now, I'm not going to hold you to it, and I won't even share your answers with them later. And just get a feel, and you might get them to feel, kind of tell on the spouse. It's going to be all about price for him, right? I want this, and he wants that. Okay, so you're going to have to build in that conversation that it could come up later, or no, it's going to come up later. So I loved on the call this morning that Andrew just said, features and benefits. Why should I do business with you? Is making a huge difference in his sales, right? Features and benefits.
The guy's eyes were lighting up.
Yeah. Just why should I do business with you is phenomenal. If you don't have a list of why people should buy from you versus anybody else in town, stop and get one. Obviously, if you come to our training, we'll share with you some that we have, but you have to figure out the ones that are yours. And you talk about the feature, but people don't buy features. They buy the benefits they get from those features. That's why we call it features and benefits, not talking about products or anything else. You have to tell people what the benefit of you being in business for 75 years is. That's a feature that means nothing to them. But I was so excited that it's like it clicked for Andrew, and a couple of guys have said makes a difference for them. So I'm excited about that.
$38,000 in sales yesterday proves it. It's starting to click for him. And guys, if you want a list of all the reasons that people should choose your company, come to one of our live events. We've got one March 20th through the 24th. Just put Mansion down in the comments if you're interested in coming to that. And I've got 33 reasons for you that will give you at that event that you can use, that you can memorize to create the difference between you and other people from a price perspective. If you're higher than other people, you got to be able to justify that price. And we'll give you 33 ways to justify that price when you come over to the Mansion. So just put Mansion down in the comments. So Don, if I know up front that their spouse is going to be required to be there, I'll kind of set the stage for what this call is going to be about today. And then I'll go, now look, I know that you said that you have to talk to your spouse. And we're going to use a technique here called feel, felt, found, my greatest fear, right? So I understand that you need to talk to your spouse. I've had other clients that felt exactly the same way. And what we found is that there's always questions, concerns, and desires, right, that vary from person to person when it comes to this type of a job. And my greatest fear is that you could end up getting stuck with something that you're not satisfied with or that you don't like for the next 10 to 20 years. So it'd be okay if I came back and had a quick meeting with you and Tracy or whoever's name it is, right, to ask and answer a few more questions for you so that I can guarantee your satisfaction 100%. You're not going to find them saying no to that. All right. Again, I understand how you feel. We've had other clients that felt the same way, but here's what we found. There's almost always, concerns, comments, questions that one person has that the other person doesn't have. And my greatest fear is that you're going to end up getting stuck with something that you don't like for the next 10 to 20 years. So it'd be okay if I came back and met with you and Sally and just asked and answered a few more questions. That way I can guarantee your satisfaction with the job. That's going to get you back into the door, and it's going to give you a reason to leave without having to leave your numbers. Because remember, Don, once they've got your proposal, do they need you anymore?
No. Once you leave a piece of paper with pricing on it, it becomes a price sale. Typically, it's the value or the benefits of dealing with you tend to drop away, and it's just a number. So you want to present and ask. You want them to see your price, and you ask for the order all at the same process. Very important to have that. Hold off giving prices. You like price conditioning. And we talk about that. If you want more information about price conditioning, put that in there, how we've in the comments, and we'll be glad to kind of share that with you. But price conditioning works very well, but you don't want to give your pricing away and then have to leave and it be transferred to the next person. So
right. Once they've got that, it's harder to get back in the door, guys. So keep your information, some of it, at least the pricing stuff, closer to your chest than the rest of it until you can get back in front of both people, right? And if it turns out that there's absolutely no way that you're ever going to be able to get in front of them, do what Andrew did this morning and get that client on FaceTime and have that conversation with both. No, that was Will, actually. I think that was.
Yeah, Will said that.
Mm-hmm. It was Will that was saying that he was doing that. He's closed 2 deals in the last week as a result of simply saying, all right, well, let's get them on the phone. And the clients have been complying, where before they were just walking away from that job. And 3, 4, 5 days later, they're still trying to follow up with them and they're not getting any calls back. Have you guys experienced this? If you've experienced it, put yes down in the comments. Also, if you want more information about our next class, all you got to do is comment Mansion or text me at 239-848-6533. If you're not able to see this video, I'll give it to you one more time. 239-848-6533. If you're watching it on video, you might just screenshot this real quick so that you've got my number in the future. Take a quick look at this video. I'm going to show you a video about the next upcoming event, and then we'll be right back to talk a little bit about financials, gross profits, what's above the line and what's beneath the line from an accounting perspective, so that you can establish not just financials, but financials that are meaningful to you. Don's always talking about that. Check out this video. If you're watching live, please put live down in the comments right now. And if you're watching on a replay, please put replay. Check out this video. We'll be right back.
I'm Jonah Gorlitz. I'm from Louisville, Kentucky. I've been doing HVAC for about 1.5, 2 years now, and I work for Instanair out of Shepherdsville, Kentucky.
Hi, I'm Kim Kay. I work with Leads Nearby, and I've been working with Leads Nearby for over 8 years, and we work with HVAC, electrical, and plumbing contractors.
So my name is Chris Laurentino from Comfort Specialists. We're out of Morris County, New Jersey. And I've been in the industry about 17 years now. I joined the mastermind because it's not just a sales course. Actually, it's not really a sales course at all.
So the reason that I joined the mastermind is I've seen some people's results online that
This is different from other events I've been to. I've been to various contest events for quite a few years now.
It's really taught me how to understand and communicate to the customer well. It's actually my second mansion trip.
from the community of how well some people have done, and I really wanted to be a part of that.
This one is the best space. It's the most glamorous space. And it's basically one training that builds upon each other.
Share in that success, and I felt that the best way to achieve that was to actually get here and get involved in the training. And frankly, in my mind, there's no better way to train than in person.
Since I've been in the class since December, my income has improved, my revenue for the company has improved, my customer relations have improved, and my call volume has decreased while the profits and everything else has increased.
Being here is a unique experience that you can't replicate in just a Zoom class. There's so much more that you get out of this.
I mean, other events I've been to, it's a lot of information on a lot of topics, where this is very concentrated. I feel like it allows you to have more focus.
Man, it's so good to see guys like Jonah, 20, 21 years old, 19 years old, making 6 figures a year. Isn't that amazing, man? What a great thing what a great gift to us, right?
Yeah, totally. Change his whole career path with just, he said about a year ago, he attended his first class and when he came to a second. He's been involved with the weekly trainings on and off, but keeping this in front of you, you can make a substantial difference in your life and your career projection trajectory within just 12 months, and probably even shorter than that. But it really, once you've had this in you for about a year, it just becomes you, and it's so powerful. So it's wonderful. So,
it's supposed to be the slow time of year, but we've got guys, one this morning that I think he said he sold 605,000 or 602,000 last month. Guys, business is never good or bad out there. It's only good or bad right between these two ears, right? That's what Zig Ziglar used to say. So guys, if you're watching us live, will you please put live down in the comments? And if you're watching on a replay, will you please put replay in the comments? Don, let's talk about the financials and specifically, what does it mean above and below the line? Like if I had a 1-page financial report, profit and loss statement, there'd be a line probably about the middle, right?
Yeah, and that's what you really want. My P&L, you have groups, you drop it down. It's really 1 page. If I can get it, my internet looked like it dropped out a little bit. But if you can get your financials on 1 page, it's very understandable. Revenue at the top, I would subtract off like my cost of loan.
What's revenue?
Revenue is all the sales. That's the money the customer gives us, right? So all the sales. I would subtract off our credit card fees, maybe our finance fees, and that would give you a net revenue. And that'd really be your top number that you evaluate everything based, as a percentage of, is that net revenue. Would
refunds go up there in that, like with the credit cards?
Yes. If you had a customer refund, if you had again, finance fees with a Green Sky or whoever, or if you had credit card fees, all of that goes. Credit card fees for processing your customer to pay you goes above the line. Now, if you're holding some debt and you've got credit card fees because of finance issues, those are in a different category. But the fee that we pay to get people to pay us go up in the revenue department.
Got it.
The next big category
total sales and revenue minus credit card fees minus returns gives us net revenue, you said.
Net revenue.
Got
exactly. It. So below that, you get what is always referred to as cost of goods. Cost of goods is the above the line item. So what is cost of goods? Pretty easy when you say it that way, but it is your equipment, it's your materials, it's your labor, it is your commissions to sell it. That's a cost of getting that job. Permits and warranty reserve should be in that number too. 1% to 2% of the revenue should go to warranty reserve. Yes, sir, Gene?
So I have a question. So I have always had two different things above the line. I have had, and I don't know if I imagined this up or if I heard it somewhere. I've always looked at cost of goods as material, labors, anything that I got to buy for that job, right? And then cost of sales was all the COGS plus the commission plus the labor. Have you ever heard of it put that way?
So cost of sales is a bigger group and cost of goods is in that group.
Right. So I'd have cost of goods, and then I didn't include the labor and commission in the cost of goods, but that was a part of a bigger group called cost of sales that included those two and cost of goods. Is there a problem with that?
No, you're getting to the same number. All of that is cost of goods, cost of doing the business. Yeah. Most companies miss the labor portion, right?
They put that below the line.
Labor is way down in the bottom, and they take their whole payroll as a chunk. When they send payroll off, they get this number back. They don't know who or how much of it was for your service department or your install department or even your office. And sometimes you don't even know what your payroll tax is.
Sure.
So you have to work a little harder to organize your payroll. So when you get a report back from your payroll company, I know how much did I spend in my service department out in the field? How much did I spend in my install department in the field, plumbing in the field? Managers, you have a little discretion on managers, because some managers sit in their office all the time.
Sure.
To me, if a manager sits in their office, they are part of the overhead and they go below the line. They're not doing the work. But if you have a manager who also is in production, meaning they will go out and help with an install, or they will go into the field and do some work, I put that guy in my cost of goods manager. So I might categorize my labor just so I can track it. But essentially it's everything that I have to spend to get the work done for the customer is a cost of goods, and that's the labor portion. So it's under cost of goods, and then there'll be a line item: equipment, parts, labor. So there'll be three little subsets to come up with that number. Yes, I would also put warranty reserve, and I would put commissions. Now, some people say labor is not commissions. It is to me. But sometimes I want to know, how much did I pay for my commissions versus how much did I pay them hourly? So I might have two line items there, but essentially they're going to add up to be the full payroll of the cost out there. Ideally, you want your company to spend around or no more than 50% of the cost of that job on that list of items. If you can keep your company to 50% gross margin, 50% cost of goods, well, if you take 100, minus 50, you're also going to get 50% gross margin, gross profit, net profit. All of those words mean the exact same thing in this business. So don't get fooled by people talking margin or gross profit or, gross margin. It's all the same word. You can even hear it sometimes said as overhead contribution. That's how much we have to contribute to pay our overhead. But if we can get 50% of our cost of goods area, 50% left over, well, most companies in the HVAC should have 25 to 35% overhead costs. So if we've got 50, we're going to run 15 to 20 and maybe even 25% profitability. To get to 25% profitability, you're typically hitting great on cost of goods and really managing the overhead at the same time. So, but that's why you want to have 50% left so that you can pay your overhead, gas, insurance, office people, accountants, all the other stuff, insurance for health insurance, all those benefits to the employees, and still have 15% left if you have 35. If you find your payroll going over 30 or your overhead higher than 35, then it's something you have to look at and manage back down.
Something you got to fix.
Yeah, you got to fix. You have to look and figure out why. So
because you're only left with if you've got a 35% overhead and a 50% gross profit, you're only left with a potential of 15% pre-tax profit.
Exactly.
How are you ever going to grow your company? Like one bad thing happens, you could be in real trouble.
Well, and we're talking about, above the line. The line is just old school accounting when they used to have an accounting piece of paper, right? Now it's all on QuickBooks for most everybody and should be. If you're not using QuickBooks, it's probably where you should use is QuickBooks. In our Profit Coach Mastermind, which we talk about on Wednesdays, we have templates, a sample P&L, a sample balance sheet, a sample chart of accounts. These are all terms that QuickBooks will want you to understand and know, but they're all in there. So join our group like this on Wednesdays at 1 p.m. Eastern time.
Yeah, if you guys are owners and you want more, that's an owners group, just so you know. So if you want more information on that, Don and I will actually pay for your first 30 days for you, no strings attached. So if you're an owner and you want more help on the business side, and this is an interesting topic to you, and you want to make sure you're profitable, type PCM down in the comments. That's P as in Paul, C as in Charlie, M as in Mastermind, Profit Coach Mastermind. Just put that in the comments, and we'll send you an invitation to the group Wednesdays at 1 p.m. Easterns when we meet. Back to you, Don.
Yeah, and those topics in that group are typically more from general manager to owner conversations. How do I set my price? How do I build my financials? Not the sales side of it. We do sales on Tuesday, Thursday with technicians. Owners are welcome in that group, but we typically keep those questions as sales questions, like how do I handle the spouse? How do I handle, I want to think about it, and things of that nature in those groups. So come and join that group. Again, it's free. It's just a Facebook private group. Come get in there, see all that information. There's so much information we give away and ask so little in return, but we would love you to put PCM down in the comments. So if we know you're interested, we'll be able to send you or get you invited into that group. So love to have.
If you know another owner that needs this information, I mean, I know as owners we rub shoulders all the time. Tag them down in the comments. That way that they end up getting the information that you're getting right now at no charge to them. We just want to help people, guys.
And again, old school, old guys. I'm an old guy. I hate to say it, but I got this from my dad. He passed a few years ago, but for many, many years, that above the line and below the line conversation, I didn't really like it. As an accounting, I have some accounting background. I'm a financial planner, but not an accountant. But with knowledge of the financial stuff, I always wanted to call it cost of goods or that, and he would call it above the line, below the line. And over the years, it just got into me to call it above the line and below the line. And it's so funny. It's so funny because I get to think about my dad every time I kind of talk about that, because I can remember all those conversations over and over again. So we'll walk you through those. We'll help you with it. You can upload samples of your P&L, take your name off, whatever, your privacy. It's a private group. We're not looking to take anything from you. We're just looking to help add and give you something in that group. So we'll look forward to seeing you on that. And more. And then you got to manage it. I will say that oftentimes, just talking about that, when your overhead is too high, the first tendency, because the first few items typically we list in our overhead is advertising. And the tendency is, well, we'll just cut our advertising. And sometimes, the logic is, well, there's something in our advertising's not working. Well, if you're not tracking it well enough to know, are you cutting the right thing? But sometimes even branding is just needed in your business so that when the calls happen, you get them. If you wait till it's time for the summer heat and the demand calls to happen, then they say, well, now I'll turn on my advertising. Well, you really haven't built a brand or built that top of mind recognition that helps get more of those calls through the summertime. So be careful about saying, I want to be more profitable. I think I'll cut my advertising. That is a dangerous slope to go on.
It could be the kiss of death.
It could be the kiss of death. I agree. It could put yourself in a couple of year funk, because it might take a while to build back up. And
guys, you might be listening. You might be listening to this conversation, and maybe your overhead is 35 or above, and you just don't know where to start cutting. Right? That's a conversation that we should have inside of the Profit Coach Mastermind. All right. We can help you with that stuff, and we can give you some guides on approximately what percentage of your revenue should be your rent, what should be your insurance. Like, all of these different things they're called KPIs, or key performance indicators. These are things that Don helps with inside the Profit Coach Mastermind. So if you need help with that stuff, either put PCM down in the comments or text me. We put the number up earlier. The number's 239-848-6533. And I will get you hooked up with Don. Maybe we'll get you a private meeting or something as well. But this is what Don does.
Yeah. Love these conversations. I love the mansion trips. We have a great time. And I love it because I love training, and I love seeing guys leave there with something that they can go and use and make money. And we're just 1 or 2 weeks out, and people are telling us, something you said at the mansion I used and it made me money. That's really fun when you hear that kind of stuff. Just makes you feel really good.
Especially when they're big numbers.
Yeah, right? Yeah, that really is good. So
and that makes me happy because, look, guys, when the clients buy some of the best stuff that you have, you've got wins all the way around, right? It's a win for you, the client, and the company. So when they're just getting cheap crap, like, very few people are winning in that scenario.
Right. The happiest people are the ones that buy from you. You'll tend to find that your complaints or your bad Google reviews are people who never bought anything from you. It's funny. It's the craziest thing. The people who buy from you are the happiest and give you great reviews. So one of the things you can do as a business owner, one of the things you can do to make your company that much more successful is just make sure you're getting customers involved and happy and sell them stuff. It's funny as that is, you would think customers would be mad when they buy, but they're not. They're the happiest people when they buy. They really are.
Well, guys, thanks for joining us today. We're going to probably wrap this one up right now, unless you got something else to say, Don. You good?
I'm good. Thanks. Put comments in there. Come see us tomorrow. And again, if not, we'll be on this again on Thursday to have some conversations. So looking forward to it.
I know that some of you probably are not available for March 20th through the 24th to come out to Orlando and spend 4 nights and 3 days with us, getting all trained up. There is another option for you called the Lead Ninja Mastermind, where we meet Tuesdays and Thursdays, and we do one-on-one training in a group setting. And it's got you in that program. You've got access to everything I've ever created, every closing script, every word track, all of it. So if you want information in that, put mastermind down in the comments, and somebody from my team will make sure that you get what you need. All right. Until next time, or until Thursday, I think we should be having another one of these on Thursdays. Guys, go out, slay some dragons, have an amazing day, and we'll see you in the future. Take care, guys.
Thanks for your time today, guys. Thanks, Gene.
Bye, ninjas.